Welcome back to Access Anime. My name is Henshin Ikeda, and today I'll be doing a walkthrough and review of One Piece episode 577. Now, if you remember from last episode, we do see the Strat crew finally attacking the Navy, and they're trying to get Panzerfrei back in general for Lily. But the end result, we do see an interesting fight between the Vice Admiral, Zoro, and of course Luffy, and we do see Sanji kicking a little butt. However, we do see the Neo Navy come out of nowhere, and Shaizu jumps right on board the Navy vessel and kind of create a little chaos and literally pushes Luffy out of the way, and he winds up in the water. And remember, Luffy, Devil Fruit user, can't swim. Zoro goes in right after him and saves him. Now, at the end of the episode, we do find out the Vice Admiral from the Navy and Shaizu from the Neo Navy and Luffy are doing a little square off. And that's where the episode ends. And again, I'll hold my final thoughts, my rating at the end of the clip, so stay tuned. But let's dive right in. Now, we open up this new episode with Luffy using second gear and then Gatling on Shaizu. So it's interesting. Now, ironically, Shaizu uses Iron Body, so he absorbs Luffy's attack right away. Now, come on, honestly, Luffy is pissed. Now he's even more pissed, but I would assume he's also excited that he doesn't have to hold back. He can attack Shaizu full on if he wants. Moving on past that, we see Zoro versus the Vice Admiral. Now, I thought this was an amazing matchup, but we really don't get to see a lot of Zoro versus the Vice Admiral in my opinion, so moving on. Now, we do see Sanji. He uses his party table kick course, and I love watching this technique, and he takes out dozens of Neo Navy soldiers. Now, while he's taking out tons and tons of Neo Navy soldiers, we see Robin in the background using her Trunta Fleur Strangle on the rest of the Neo Navy members, and it was kind of amusing to see in general, but we really don't get to see a lot of Robin in this episode. Moving on past that, we do see Nami, and come on, Nami, you're not doing anything. You're not. And all we know for a fact is right now is your plan has gone to hell. It's not going to happen, so she is rethinking her plan. Now, moving on past that, we are taken to Brook. It's kind of a funny scene, and I love this scene in general. He's in his ghost form, or the soul form, and he's just watching Luffy and Zoro at the same time trying to kind of create chaos among the Neo Navy and, I guess, Navy soldiers in general. And you see these soldiers, I believe it's the Navy, shooting at Brook, and they're going through him, and they're scared as hell when he turns around and kind of goes after him. But again, I thought I just mentioned that. But moving on, now we are taking to a different scene with Nami. I call it the Nami report because she does an update to all of the Strike crews, giving them a heads up. And guess what? The weather, don't trust it. It's going to change any moment now. Apparently, there's the thrust upstream. They're appearing and they're blowing ships away from the Navy. I didn't see this coming. It was random. But again, the weather, don't trust it. That's what she tells everyone. Now, moving on, she does point out these thrust upstreams can actually destroy or blow away warships. So, just thought I'd put that out there. And again, she tells all the Strat crew to get the hell back on the Thousand Sunny. Don't even bother fighting anymore, just get back on the Thousand Sunny. So she does give everyone a heads up. Now, we are taking to a different scene with Luffy, of course, and he's using his iron armament and his bazooka on Shaizu. And again, Shaizu is being very cocky right now, and he's all full of himself. And we do see Luffy launch this amazing attack as usual right at Shaizu, and Shaizu kind of says you're using Haki, so apparently Shaizu knows what Haki is, and he's using it as well, as is the Vice Admiral. They're both using at least one form of Haki. Just thought I'd point that out. Now, moving on past that, we do see Zoro, and he uses the 360-pound Phoenix on the Vice Admiral, and it was an amazing technique. But sadly, the Vice Admiral just absorbs it, so he's kind of on the same level as Zoro, but I'm not holding my breath because we do know Zoro is a lot stronger. So moving on past that, we are taken to Frankie and Nami. Now, Nami is telling Frankie to basically launch the anchors. Now, in the background, we are seeing more of the Navy ships being destroyed by I think it's the thrust upstream, and it's kind of unique to see them being destroyed, yet somehow I think the submarines from the Neo Navies aren't really getting touched. But that's just me, because I didn't see any submarines getting blown away, in my opinion. But that's just me. So sorry, I digress. Moving on. Now we are moved to a different scene where we see Luffy versus Shaizu, and apparently Nami's telling Frankie to use the Coup de Burst while Luffy is battling Shaizu still. And again, Nami does tell Frankie to use the Coup de Burst, and he says no. I was like, what? Because he points out, well, this raft looks a lot bigger up close. Like, no, really? I mean, it's a giant. What do you expect? He's on a big raft. I mean, come on. But he points it out. The raft is a lot bigger than he thought, and he basically says no, he can't. So Nami, you're gonna have to think of another plan in general because it's not working with Frankie right now. Moving on to a different scene, of course, we do see Nami coming up with a new plan, which it makes a lot more sense than what she was telling, Frankie before. She wants everyone, well, Frankie in general, to use the eruption of the thrust of the upstream basically to use as a catapult, just to catapult them in general. So I'll say that one more time if you weren't listening. Basically, Nami wants them to use the eruption of the burst, or should I say, of the thrust upstream to catapult them. I was like, oh, that kind of is smart. So then she tells, well, Frankie in general, coup de burst. And that's it. We do see Zoro, everyone else that's not on the Thousand Sunny, kind of jumping on the raft, or Panzerfry in general, and we do see Panzerfry being lifted into the air and escaping. So it's kind of interesting. And again, the rest of the Straw Hat crew in general that was on the Shark Submerged as well as the Mini Mary, they are now officially on the Thousand Sunny, so they're good to go. So this new plan kind of makes sense, and they are rescued and the mission is finished. Finally. But what's interesting, and I have to point this out, we do see Shizu as he's falling throw what appears to be a dagger or like a locating device onto the Thousand Sunny. I just thought I'd mention that. So he failed the mission in general, since obviously Panzerfry is still alive and he's escaped, and none of the Straw Hat crew members were even killed or scratched really. So yeah, the Neo Navy kind of botched this one in my opinion. Just putting that out there. Now we are taking to a different scene versus Shizu and the Vice Admiral. Since the Straw Hat crew is no longer there, it's just the Neo Navy versus the actual Navy, and it was an interesting confrontation. Two strong forces literally fighting each other, and the end result being Shizu is the winner. Now we don't know if the Vice Admiral is dead, if the crew's been killed. We don't know anything because we don't get to see this fight. Just putting that out there. We really do not know who. I mean, we know who the clear victor is. Obviously, Shizu, since he's the winner. But we really don't know what happened to the Navy in general. And we really don't. But moving on past that, we are taking to a flashback. This is Shizu's flashback. I'm like, okay, so we get a little more information on this guy, on how he got his position. Now, apparently he was fighting someone called Ein, which we've already seen Ein already in this anime series. And he loses to Ein after a 5-hour battle. And I was like, okay, you lost against a woman, sucks for you. Now, apparently they were fighting, and the end result being Ein was the winner. And apparently now, since Ein's the winner, she's now the right-hand man or person of Master Z. So she's Master Z's aide. Just thought I'd put that out there. So that was kind of an interesting little flashback. Now moving on past that, we are taken to the Straw Hat crew, and they kind of have gotten away now. They're like in a small miniature island or something like that, pulled off to like the side, and they're trying to fix up Panzerfry. At least Chopper is. He's a doctor. He fixes Panzerfry up, says rest and relax for a couple days, you'll be fine. But Luffy is eager to have him cook, so he's like, can you please cook something? Sanji obviously objects, saying, come on. And then Chopper also points out, come on. Seriously. But really, Panzerfry is being really nice about it. He's like, no, you guys saved me, you saved my daughter, of course, I'm going to cook for you. But there's one flaw. There's no food because of Lily. Now, we do see Lily basically say she stole food while the fight was going on from the Navy, I presume, after we see all these upstream bursts, or I should say just the thrust upstreams, blowing all these ships away. So she collected all this food. So it was enough to, I guess, for Panzerfry to actually cook something. So we do see Panzerfry about to cook something. Now, obviously, Zoro also objects with Sanji, ironically, but as soon as Lily says, I got sake, he's like, oh, okay, no, we're good. So I thought that was kind of funny and also worth mentioning. Now, moving on past that, we are taken off to the distance within like a small little view's worth of the actual Straw Hat crew. So you see the Straw Hat crew's on one little island, kind of pulled off, and in the distance we see the Neo Navy. They've caught up. Yeah, the Neo Navy, they've caught up. Can't explain it, but then again I can, because if you remember correctly, Shizu, he threw something onto the Sunny, on the Thousand Sunny. It looked like a dagger or a transmitter, so he could actually locate where the Straw Hat crew was at. Now again, they're all in the subs. The Neo Navies are in their submarines, they're underwater, and we do see Shizu give the order to use the torpedoes to take out the Straw Hat crew. But he can't, because they're all out of torpedoes, because they were attacking the Navy and the Straw Hat crew before, so they're all out. Now, I thought this was very meaningful, because we see the Neo Navy soldiers and the other subs basically volunteer themselves to become kamikazes underwater. Like, kamikazes. They're going to become the torpedoes themselves, use their own submarine to attack the Thousand Sunny and the Straw Hat crew. And that's crazy, and yet somehow Shizu is very pushed and very moved with his crew being that supportive, and he's like, I'm going to care for you guys if and when you guys die, and bring your guys' bodies back, or something along those lines. And he uses his own soldiers, the submarines with his men in them, as torpedoes, and he launches them. And again, that's where the episode ends. Final thoughts? Shizu, are you freaking crazy? I'm just putting that out there. I mean, really? You could have waited for some torpedoes, but you know, hey, I'm not gonna go there. I'm just saying, I guess it's a smart move if that's where you're at, but it's a waste of manpower, in my opinion. I mean, that's just putting that out there. Now, end result being, is the Thousand Sunny going to be able to take this? Are they going to be able to actually detect this attack? We don't know. And Luffy, I'm pretty sure he's going to be pissed because he's not going to be able to have his food from Panzerfry if he's going to be attacked. So it's going to be funny to see how this is going to work out. Moving on to the Navy. Now, we don't know if the Vice Admiral is still alive or dead, or if the Navy in general that, you know, the Neo Navy was fighting is alive. But, you know, I'm interested to see that. I mean, we don't know. Moving on past that, is Smoker going to be in the next episode? I mean, he is in the same sea or area per se. I mean, he is close by, I would assume. So I'm wondering if he's going to get involved, as well as Ayn from the Neo Navy. Is she going to get involved? Are we going to see her next episode? I have no idea, but I can't wait to see. And again, that ends it for my final thoughts. As per my rating, I'm going to give this a 3.5 out of 5. I'm only giving it a low rating because we didn't get to see a lot of fighting. The fights were there, but we don't get to see them. We just get to see Nami's plan being shot to hell and eventually seeing the Straw Hat crew escaping. That was the build-up. So, am I shocked? Yeah, not really. I kind of saw this coming. Was there any emotional parts to this episode? Kind of, you know, Lily meeting her, well, saving her father, which was, you know, Panzerfry. Well, she didn't generally save him, you know, the Straw Hat crew did, but I'm just putting that out there. I didn't see emotion, so final rating, 3.5 out of 5, plain and simple. And again, that ends it for my walkthrough and review of One Piece episode 577. But definitely comment down below, let me know, thumbs up, thumbs down, definitely subscribe, check me out on Twitter, and follow me if you like. But again, that ends it for now. But definitely comment on this episode. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you thought of this episode. Let me know what you think is going to happen in the next episode coming up. But guys, I got to hit the bricks. I got to go. I have at least 2 more walkthroughs and reviews to do tonight, but I might wait until tomorrow to do them. I don't know. I'm just going to go with the flow. But guys, I got to go. My time's up for now. Before I go, I got to say it. You can't stop the access, but you can watch the feed. I'll see you later, guys.